AI is deeply embedded in recruitment workflows through agents, co-pilots, and specialized assistants. On Thursday, January 30th, 2025, the AI in Recruitment Outlook Event 2025 explores the current landscape and future possibilities of AI in recruitment. Renowned experts will share their insights on AI recruitment trends and implementations. This 90-minute live show is free to attend. Register now for free via ai-in-recruitment.com/outlook 2025.
Next to me is Ivan Stojanovic. Yes, is that
close enough?
Close enough.
Ivan Stojanovic, yeah.
From teladria.com.
That's right.
And we're here at True Amsterdam. How many editions you will attend here in Amsterdam, do you know?
I have no clue, but I was on most of them before pandemic, and I think this is only the first one after pandemic that I'm attending.
Okay, perfect.
I also organized through in Dublin, in where I'm from, or where I work from last 30 years in Dublin. So I run through in Dublin, and I also organized through Zagreb in Croatia, where I'm from originally.
Yeah.
So I'm one of the very few true organizers that organizes through in two different countries.
Yeah. So you just had your, well, it's not a track. You're a track leader of a session about AI, but what was it specific about?
So I basically wanted to make sure that people are aware of what AI can do for them today. So I asked all of them to share what exactly are they doing with AI, which tasks are they completing with AI, and on what level. And I also asked them which tools do they use. Do they use open language models, or are they large language models, are they small language models? And what majority of people said, if I remember correctly, is that they're using large language models. Very few people use small ones, and majority of them use ChatGPT. And the task that they use most is to write job descriptions.
Yeah.
Which I think is kind of the level of one of, and that's the first step that recruiters do. And recruiters in Amsterdam are usually kind of on the forefront of implementing technology in recruitment, at least in Europe. I don't know about States, but I do lots of conferences and train lots of recruiters in Europe. And I always found that here and in Dublin are the two places where technology gets into recruitment quickest or first. And then it spreads out to other countries. Why is that so? I don't know. But it was really interesting to see that almost everybody is using or thinks that they're using AI for recruitment. And then when you ask them which tasks, then we see that sometimes they're actually not AI, or sometimes it's just pure automation.
Yeah.
And they are always using one language model and not testing different language models to see whether another would give them better results for the task that they have at hand. Yeah. So what we do at Teladria, we test with free. We joined the program Founders for Microsoft for Founders, and now we are in the process of getting the same type of program from Google, which is slightly more involving with internal development as well.
Yeah.
So they've put all our stuff into training and academies for AI and gave us loads of developer resources as well. So we test with free models everything that we do. Of course, part of Microsoft, it's with Copilot. And they gave us loads of Azure credits, so we test everything with ChatGPT as well, all different versions. And the same thing now with Google as well, with Gemini, all different versions. Because it's not always the best model that you should be using, or the most expensive or the largest model that you should be using for tasks, just because of the cost.
Yeah. So can you tell me a little bit more about your solution? So what does it?
So my solution is, and the way we have designed it, is to replace everything that we do. So think of us as lazy recruiters who don't really want to start a day with looking at CVs, don't want to write job descriptions, don't want to then match CVs to job descriptions every single morning and then look at your 100 CVs that come to you every single day and say, oh, this candidate is good, this candidate is not good. We're finding the way of different models doing this for us and creating a profile of the each of the candidates, which we can share directly with the hiring manager if it's an internal team, or with a client if you're working as a recruitment agency.
Yeah.
So it's a model that works. It's a process that works for both for the internal hiring teams and recruitment agencies as well. And our current version is a purely API product. So you never leave your ATS or recruitment software. It's all within there.
Yeah. So you don't know you know it's in, but
you don't really see it in any other form. Sometimes with some of the clients that are using like really poorly written ATSs, we came with a solution where we email them the results. So of the, let's say, matchmaking and then profiles of the candidates, we email them. And then they can define what does that output need to look like, as in which language. If it's an internal team, you only want why is this candidate good and why is it not good. You want AI to help you in creating scoring questions or the scorecard, and also define what a good answer and what a bad answer look like, so that in a transcript that we analyze later on of the interview, AI can then again decide, okay, that was a good answer, that was not a good answer. So the recruiter actually doesn't need to fill absolutely anything in the scorecard, but it's all stored in the entity in the database of a candidate that is applying for a job. And then you have another AI agent that comes an hour later and says, okay, that was a good answer, that was a good answer, that was a good answer. Overall score is 100%. So we will move him to a next stage in the interview process.
Yeah.
So recruiter actually is looking at ATS, but is not clicking on anything on an ATS because AI agents do everything for him. So the classic example for this is you have a job today, you get 100 applicants, AI analyzes them in pretty much real time, like 1 or 2 minutes afterwards, and they apply and they are moved to a correct stage in the ATS. Some are just rejected, and some of them are moved to be pre-prompted, or we want to generate a profile of them, so we resend that back into the AI to create the analysis of the candidate, and then whatever the client is asking. So most clients are actually asking, okay, we want questions that each of those should be asked, and we want the answers as well. So they actually do the interview then, or you can actually send it in an email as well. We have some implementation like this as well, where a candidate can then say, yeah, that is the version of Java that I'm using. Yes, I was using Laravel, or I was using Symfony, or whatever else what was kind of implied in the CV, but it wasn't specified. And then another agent that gets stored back, that email gets stored back in the ATS. We have then an agent that goes every hour and reads all those responses, whether they are transcripts of the interviews or replies to an email from an ATS, which then moves them again to a next stage in the interview.
Yeah.
In the process in your ATS. So you sometimes need to redesign slightly the stages in your ATS when you're including AI, because it will actually do some stages that you're not doing. And
like, for example?
Well, the first thing that you are never really writing the custom scorecards for each customer, for each candidate. Yeah. And you are not defining what a good answer actually is. You usually have like a question and then a text box, and then a decision is made by a recruiter. Was that a good answer or not? But if the question is very technical or requires a lot of domain expertise, you might not actually see it in the answer. And we tend to give sometimes not the best answers, to be honest. Yeah. So AI does this 10 times better and does this in real, like instantly. So you can move people really, really quickly. So you actually have a much more accurate snapshot when you're looking at your kind of Trello board of your candidates, because you know exactly where they are straight away. They're not waiting to be interviewed to find out, do you have 5 or 50 people in that stage? Because AI just moves them like, we have an agent that runs every hour. People don't require it more quick, but we can make it every second. It is expensive then, because it's AI costs. But within every hour, within every 60-minute window, you have a 100% correct snapshot of where what does your pipeline actually look like? And that is something that you cannot do with a human-run recruitment at all. So then we want to go to a stage further where and the first product is the assistant for writing the job descriptions, where majority of recruiters here in this conference will agree that this is the problem number one. So what we do is when you publish a job in your ATS, we reply with a document which is what AI understood your job actually is. And you can get it in an email, you can get it back into the ATS, and then you can, by reading this, you realize, oh, actually, sorry, that's not it. And we also define what the best title for this description should be, because this is where people usually fail as well. You know, you're looking like, I'm looking for a full stack software developer, but actually all the tasks and all the technologies are back-end or front-end. Or you're looking for a junior software developer, but you need 5 years of experience with Java or something like this. So it does help you actually structure this. It raises questions that help you make a better job description. And a better job description means better job matching, whether automated or manual later on in the process. So if you fix that problem, and having a SaaS product that enables hiring managers to write this as opposed to your recruiters writing job descriptions changes the quality like it's a total different level.
So after the job description, can you summarize what are the next steps? Publishing?
We don't do any of this.
Not
so
we'll
live within
multiples.
Yeah,
Okay.
we live within the ATS.
Yeah. Okay.
So your ATS have your connectivity to your publishing.
Yeah. You already have them.
I think that market is crowded, and I think that market is going to start disappearing as well.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't think that's a right task for the AI. Although people from loads of multiple job posting, especially programmatic people, will disagree totally, but that's not where we are competent.
No. You know. And is it because if I listen to this, is it aimed at more volume recruitment, international companies, or can it be used by every company? If you have a lot of single,
it can definitely be used by every single company, and the larger the volume, the larger the saving is. Because what happens today is, let's say a recruiter's position is interesting. So if you have it as a position for a recruiter today in Amsterdam, how many job descriptions, or how many candidates are you going to get in an hour? You're probably going to get 100. If it's a junior recruiter, you'll probably get almost 1,000 in a week. Reviewing 1,000 CVs in a week, it takes a lot of time, which makes it very expensive for a recruiter to invest time into this. So your internal TA team will not have time to even review because all the CVs, because they have to produce a candidate and fill a placement. That's what their metric is. Like, how long did it take? How long was the position open? So if you keep it open, or even just on LinkedIn, you'll probably require more time to review CVs than do the whole recruitment process. So AI does this really fast, and in most cases, quite good. I'm always comparing this to so the way that we tested this first with the first few clients is we would take the jobs that they have filled, and we'd ask them the following. Okay, so you've received 500 candidates. Can we get the results from, and we get those results from the excuse me, from the ATS, who actually went to what stage in the interview process. So usually you're talking to last 4, last 5, last 10 candidates or whatever. And then you make an offer to 1 or 2 people at the end. So that's how your kind of Kanban board of recruitment process for pretty much every single role looks like. So what we would do is we would just take CVs that came at the beginning of the process, pure applications, maybe with some questions that I ask on the application form as well, which is pretty much not relevant. And then we would score this 500 people in just like a list from what AI thinks is the best candidate to what AI thinks is the worst candidate. And the funny thing that happened with majority of the candidates, with majority of the clients and majority of the roles that they are looking for is that within the first 10, you usually have at least 5 or 6 people that got to the last stage.
Okay.
Which changes the whole ball game. And the other thing as well, we looked at it from a negative perspective as well. We looked at, okay, let's look at 90% of the people that didn't get to the 90% of the people that you have in your candidate pool, people who actually applied, and asked, okay, we want 10%. We just want best 10 people in the pipeline. Are any of those that didn't make to the last stage in the 90%? And there were we haven't seen the role where we've made a wrong decision there. Yeah. So what the automation does for you today, sorry, it's not automation, it's AI, what it does to you, it cuts 90% of your applicants. Yeah. Very successfully based on your previous data.
And do you have to, because that's what we say a lot about about AI, you still have to check things?
And people do.
Yeah.
For the first job, for the second job, for the third job, for the fourth job.
And then
they stop.
Then they say, okay.
Because they're saying like, okay, we've been doing this manually all these years, but this thing actually does it. And sometimes they say differences, by the way. Sometimes they say, okay, we didn't interview this candidate, and AI is saying this is like top 10 out of 1,000 people. Why did we not interview this candidate? And then it's usually a recruiter who says, oh, actually, we should have.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was just because there was no time. We had other candidates that were close in the process, whatever. So in the reality, you are not hiring the best people for the job. Because if you have somebody on a second interview already and a fabulous candidate comes, your hiring manager is going to say, nah, no time for this. We want to make a decision and we need to make it by Friday or whatever else. If you use AI to speed the whole process up, you're essentially hiring better people. Yeah. And then from the candidate's perspective, candidates are going to get jobs that are more relevant for their next step in a career, so they're going to be happier. Yeah. So I'm kind of thinking, yes, we are changing recruitment, but we're also changing the whole workforce and everybody else we're putting people in positions where they should fit better, hence be happier and stay in the companies longer. Like everything that we are actually trying to do in HR, AI does this for you.
Yeah. So if you look to this, you talked about the savings. I assume time saving.
Time saving is the first.
Yeah. Second can you mention an average?
So
percentage.
Not really, because different people apply it totally differently. Yeah. But I'll give you the example of we have a client who is testing us, and they receive 1,011 is the average applicants per week for a variety. Not a big company, but they have only one recruiter. 1,000 applications, one recruiter. Yeah. Like if you think of how many seconds does it, we usually say, it takes 6 seconds to review a CV, which is not really true. But actually, to open that CV, it takes more than 6 seconds for the actually page to roll, to load, and then you have to scroll up and down and whatever else. So if you look at, like, realistically, if you review more than 100 CVs in a row, the quality of your manual reviewing is going to drop drastically. Yeah. So you look at 100, have a rest of half an hour, do something that is less brain consuming, and you actually need a rest, and then in the afternoon you can do another 100. Yeah. And if you do more than 200 or 300 a day,
you can't. It's impossible for human.
It's impossible for human. Yeah. And if you do this constantly, like 5 days a week, that by the end of a week you're gone again. Yeah. So your quality is going to drop drastically by Friday afternoon. You're going to be saying, whatever. Yeah. AI doesn't get tired. No. AI doesn't forget the first candidate that you saw when it's scoring the last one as well, because the memory is for every single job it's based on a job, so it remembers all the candidates from the first to the last. So when 1,000th or 2,000th candidate comes, it can rank it against everybody who came before in last couple of weeks and give you the results within a second, where it says, okay, this is CV number 89 of your 2000. So then you can kind of say, okay, so we have time to interview 20 people, and you don't start with the first applicant, you start with the top 20 people.
Yeah.
And it changes the whole ball game totally. So time saving plus super increased quality.
Yeah.
You're still interviewing people, so yes, bias, this, that, whatever, people will say, whatever else. And you are choosing who you are interviewing. Yeah. It's not the AI who's hiring people. We're not there.
Yeah, no. And, of course, then there's something like the EU AI Act, who already says there has to be a human who says yes or no
there has to
at
be
the end.
Yes. Well, actually, not at the end. In our process, it's actually at the beginning.
Okay.
In our process, it's AI suggests.
Yeah, but you have to
human decides.
Yeah,
human decides.
So does the role? There are people shouting out. There will be no recruiters within 2 years. We had the discussion at the opening. 2 years now. It will be sooner. Is the role? Do you have more time, for example, for attending true events, for education, for a relationship with?
There are different legislation in different countries, and EU is kind of on the forefront of this, and the US is following really quickly as well. You are legally not permitted to have recruitment with no human. So you cannot remove it 100%. Although technically we can do it quite quickly, and I'm quite confident we can do it almost, well, not today, but on Wednesday. Mm-hmm. It can be done.
Yeah.
Legal? No. So whether the legislation is going to change in 2 years? Probably not. It will stay here. Mm-hmm. So you will still need a recruiter. But will you have a team of 5 talent acquisition specialists and a talent acquisition manager and a VP of talent and whatever else? No, you don't need any of this, because you will have you will still have the same amount of work and actually you will have a larger amount of recruitment agents, but they're going to be AI agents. They're not going to be human people. And it's not only that this will be happening, this is happening. Yeah. So our product at the moment, I'm kind of thinking your average recruitment agency with 100 recruiters, yes, it does cut off maybe 20% of your workforce today. Yeah. And if you think of the payroll, so if you think of cost saving, we'll pay whatever your cost for the AI, and you pay the cost for the implementation, and we'll charge you something, Microsoft will charge you something, whatever else. But that's all probably 5% of the cost of your payroll, which when you think is a no-brainer for anybody. Plus, it increases the velocity of your dealing with clients drastically. Yeah. And the customer success as well, because you can use tools like this for business development. So what happens in the recruitment agency in a business development environment? You call somebody and they say, we have a job that we can give you. Great, okay. Then you have your database with 100,000 CVs, and then you do some Boolean searching to find those people, and you do Boolean searching usually just based on CVs, not with the notes that are in the ATS as well. Very few ATSs for recruitment agencies actually have it all integrated with one. Then you contact all these people. Are you available? Are you not? How much money? This and that and whatever. And that takes a week. Yeah. For you to come with free profiles that you send then on Friday and say, those are the free profiles of the people, and you do it all manually. Great stuff. AI does this in a second and doesn't cost you that week worth of human work. Yeah. So you increase the velocity of delivery from a recruitment agency perspective drastically, especially in that initial process, so all the BD work is kind of shortened drastically. We see this in a sales process, that automated sales process that every single recruitment agency has today. That's totally different than sales process that recruitment agencies had in 2 years ago. All automated and all AI driven. So I think that everything that has happened in sales, we saw what Salesforce is doing with Reinforce, with AI agents there. Microsoft is announcing something very similar for their Microsoft CRM product as well. Everybody's building AI agents and enabling customers to build their own AI agents. I think what will happen in recruitment as well, that we will enable you to become something similar to what Kevin Wheeler is talking about in his book. You'll need somebody who will run your AI in agency or in talent acquisition team where half of the staff are not going to be required anymore because AI will replace their work.
Yeah.
How fast will this happen? Yeah, talking about months, you're not talking about years.
Yeah.
Because if we, a small startup company, have a product that probably takes 20, in some cases even 40% of the work of a recruitment agency, then I'm sure that the larger players will be there with far more complete products and replace 80% of your work.
Yeah. So if you this week I read an interview with the president of Europe of Google, talking about the AI EU Act, putting a euro back. If you look to the United States and China, for examples, do you agree?
It all depends on the implementation. Look, we've all been in recruitment in the last couple of years, and there was all the scaremongering about the GDPR coming into recruitment. We all know that every single recruiter, there was so many consultants that were teaching us how to do recruitment with the new GDPR coming. It started maybe 2 years before GDPR was even implemented. Interestingly enough, GDPR court is in Dublin, where I live, and funny enough, my next door neighbor is a judge in that court. There haven't been a recruitment agency, ever, on their table. Yeah. So what they are looking at is all the Facebooks and Googles and people from whom they will extract meaningful money, and they will, not only money, but the punishment will be a signal for everybody else to stop. I am a 2.5-man recruitment agency called Irish Recruiter, or actually, sorry, it's 4 of us now, and some AI agents as well. To take 4% of our revenue will not cover the cost of the court. So that's not what you would politically be doing. I'm not saying and advocating that we should just ignore GDPR. Absolutely not. No. Or any other laws that are coming. Absolutely not. We all have to adhere to them. But the reality of courts chasing us are zero. Like literally zero. We've all known that large job boards have been breached and CVs have gone flying from the largest job boards in the world that make a lot of money, and you've never seen them in any court.
Yeah. And they earn a lot of money. So yes. If you read them,
yeah, and their breach would be like
it's easy.
Yeah, exactly, and their breaches would be like humongous compared to a European-based recruitment agency that basically has 90% of the revenue in one single country.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not worried about this. Should we be aware of this? Yes. Should we adhere to this? Yes. But is that going to stop recruitment? No. If you know recruitment, if you know what you're doing, and if you are careful and using your knowledge to protect your customers and clients and privacy, then you don't have a problem at all. Yeah.
So we're almost beginning a new year, 2025. Can you tell something what's on the roadmap of Taladria?
We've been developing for over a year now, and I think and testing with various types of customers in various continents as well. I think for us, 2025 is Q1 is starting the revenue as well, because we've analyzed a lot, and we kind of thought we're going to develop it in 3 months. But the more we developed it, the more we realized, we have to think about this, we have to think about this, and we have to think about this. And it just, like every single implementation and every single new build opened up more issues than the number of problems that it solved. So yes, we didn't think about scalability at the beginning. We didn't think about, okay, what happens when you have 1 million CVs? Can we still deliver a result in 4 seconds? Or problems. And how much will this actually cost? And AI cost is something that people don't talk about. Yeah. And it's if you don't start thinking about it from a day one, then you're going to be in problem. But the other thing as well that we all know is that the AI cost is decreasing. So what we are developing today would not be commercially valuable for 50% of the potential clients on today's costs. But we know that it's going to go down. Yeah. So we're all banking on this, and everybody agrees it's going to go down. But then again, cost of electricity is growing in the US, so there's a problem there as well.
Yeah.
So yes, it's a complex answer, but what I've learned in this last year and a half that we are doing this AI product is that predicting anything with kind of longer runaway than 3 months is just useless.
I hear a lot.
Like we when we started building this as 4 companies got together and we started building the product. Then Microsoft heard about it and said, okay, that's quite interesting. We want to see that product in Microsoft Copilot Marketplace. So they invited us in Founders for Microsoft program. We got credits and now we're building with them. Then Google have heard about it and said, oh, we heard that you're doing something in recruitment. We'll give you everything that Microsoft gives you ×2 or 3. Pick a number. And I'm like, do we really want to switch the vendor just to get more credits in AI or whatever else? We've invested so much time and we really like what Microsoft gave us.
Yeah.
So, and it's actually quite good to have a Microsoft as a partner. I'm thinking about longer term strategy as well. Having somebody like Microsoft selling your product in your marketplace, it puts us in a very different position than, and from the investor's perspective and from a client's perspective, from security perspective, then they handle all the legality. You mentioned that security, we also can talk about. So I think we're going to stay there. So I think 2005, when you're going to have this conference probably before summer.
20th edition.
20th edition,
yes.
I don't think there will be a single recruiter who will say, I'm not using AI for recruitment. Because they're not going to be in the recruitment.
Yeah. And it will be built in all the tools they have. So.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Although majority of the tools, so I'm looking at actually the ATSs that are being sold today. Majority of ATSs now are telling, we have ATI, we are built on AI, we are built on AI, we have ATI embedded, this and that. There was one which actually said, I've seen the word native ATI. We are using native ATI. I was like, what is non-native ATI? What does that actually mean?
Sounds great for marketing.
Sounds great for marketing. And then I look at a demo and I ask them, okay, can we hook up into your API and provide you some real data in there? And they're like, no, we don't have API. And I'm like, okay, so how are you talking to AI if you don't have API? Don't know.
Okay. Yeah.
That tells you everything.
And will you pick a side with Microsoft or Google, or do you want to use because that's also what you told in your session? It's good to try various AI because
so we will always be testing everything that exists. And there was a product that I've heard of in a session today that I don't know anything about. So yes, we have to test this if that's a publicly available large language model. Or even if it's a small model, but
it's not. It's a product.
It's a product.
Models.
Yeah. So we are testing all the large language models in parallel, and not only latest versions, but the cheaper versions as well, because you don't really need the largest and latest for majority of the tasks that recruiters do, and this is actually worrying. AI that you need for majority of what we do existed 6 months ago, and nobody used it. Nobody realized. But it took us some time to actually realize this, to build tools, to put the framework on it, and to build tools so you could use it on one-on-one case. There's a job spec. You go to a Copilot website and you say, you create a prompt for matching one CV to one job spec. You give it a prompt to make this and see how this candidate is good or bad for the job. But you couldn't do it in a volume. You couldn't say, okay, I have 1,000 CVs. You should put them in SharePoint and then do the integrations and a very complex licensing process actually to make it happen. And it never really worked 6 months ago. Today, we are building a product where you can just log in, put the API of your Bullhorn or your Greenhouse. We take all the CVs, we analyze them all, we analyze all your jobs, and we just tell you, okay, those are the 10 or 100 best candidates for each of the jobs that you have in your current database that applied for this job or that have applied for previous jobs as well.
Yeah.
So as an employer, we are probably going to get into this dream situation where you get a job requisition and you just put a job in the ATS, don't advertise it, AI analyzes it, finds 10 best candidates, organizes the interview, you interview them, and you fill the job before it actually goes live.
Yeah. Well, next year we will find out at the 20th true whether there are no recruiters anymore not using AI daily.
That is almost a certainty.
Yeah.
Because think of it, if we would rewind in time 12 months before today, it was pretty much nobody. Like we are talking about GPT 3.5, which was kind of, nobody really knew. Does it cost? Is it free? How? What? The interface on the web was horrendous. Copilot wasn't really useful, and Gemini almost didn't exist. So, and people actually needed some time to learn what an AI agent is. And they needed to learn that they don't just use one website where they are doing all this, but that you can actually build those AI agents and define those small tasks and then put them in a chain that they replace all your work little by little by little. And then you can jump in and do something yourself, as in decide, okay, we want to interview this person, you want to interview this person, not this one, because you know that you spoke to that person, or he is coming from a company who is unlikely to move to from one company to another, because that's not a natural path. AI might not know all this, but it will learn, because you can really easily apply a small language model on top of your ATS, and it will slowly learn all this. I'm not a great believer in small language models for recruitment yet, because I haven't seen a real one that has actually learned something properly. But companies like Bullhorn with loads of data claim that it helps a lot. Have I seen this live? Am I convinced? No. I'm an engineer. I just believe in what I see. So,
yeah. Ivan, thank you.
It was totally a pleasure. Thank you for having me. And then let's hope we have a chat in our next through and then conclude and rewind and review what actually happened in the year.
I think there will be a lot.
Thanks a lot for having me.
Thanks.